nomination is something that we all talk about in insurance, but the question is, do you actually do nomination for your clients? Do you regularly review them with your clients? Because you're walking through a life journey with clients where changes and needs change over time. So I will always educate clients on the importance of nomination. And while I know that in different countries, it is mandatory to do up your nomination upon signing up for policies, it is very different in Singapore because it is actually a value-added service that we give clients after policy issuance. Okay, so for those who already done up the nomination in the countries like Indonesia and Philippines, I think how this is relatable to you is by making sure you go back to clients and make sure their nominations are in place for the right people to receive their proceeds. Okay, so when I educate client, mainly I will talk to them why nomination is important. Firstly, if you do not know your nomination, you do not have the choice to actually ensure how much percentage of your debt proceeds go to the different people that matter in your life. And then if I did some research, actually globally there are $42 billion unclaimed insurance because nomination is not done up. There's nobody to contact, nobody knows that clients also have policies. And secondly, you actually get to avoid lengthy claim delays where you have to go up to the court, you have people who are contesting for your death proceeds. And of course, on the other side, with nomination, you get direct death benefits because your nominees are all the details of your nominees are in place. And immediate financial speed, as well as for nomination as Muslim, it actually overrides your will. Okay, so first this one, why insurance nomination matters. You work hard to protect your family, you get insurance to protect any financial crisis. Without nomination, everything goes out to estate, not according to your wishes. But of course, I think generally, with the exception of Muslims, it goes 50-50, right? So, but personally, on the client's level, there are some people they would like to have a little bit more share of their proceeds. It avoids family disputes where the last thing you want clients to face when you go to the funeral is that everyone's talking about the money, there are disputes everywhere. So having nomination actually ensures that the proceeds honor the date or the client who passed on wish, right? Okay, that is a real life story. I'm sure all of you know CPF. It's a Central Provident Fund in Singapore. This CPF also has nomination. This lady by the name Audrey Fang, she actually nominated her CPF before she passed on. So when she passed on, her family was waiting for the death proceeds, right? But there wasn't any because she actually nominated somebody outside of the family. Yeah. Also again, in Philippines and Indonesia, I heard that you guys cannot nominate anyone who does not have insurable interest. But for Singapore, you can literally nominate anyone without family ties, no insurable interest. Okay, so a nomination actually reflects your wishes, not your family's assumptions, and you have to review it regularly as how you review your client's portfolio and policies. Okay, so nomination is not about getting more money, it's about getting the money to the right people quickly when they need them the most. Okay, so I want to dive in a little bit more into the Muslim nomination, right? So it's amazing how the years have evolved because as Muslims, we are all tied to Islamic wealth distribution, or also called fara'id. So we Muslims actually do not have a choice on how we want the money to be distributed. And back in the days, in the olden days where we didn't live then, right, mainly men actually dominate the family and lead the family. So naturally, the law works in favor towards men because they're supposed to lead and provide for the family. But now, today's world, we have so many women working, me, myself. Of course, we would want our proceeds to go to the people that need them the most. So, under the Islamic law in Singapore, it actually recognizes nomination as more powerful than your will or your estate distribution or even the Islamic wealth distribution. So, nomination is called a gift where we leave behind for our beneficiaries. I ensure that all my clients have done up their nominations after the policy gets accepted. And then, yeah, so same thing as I mentioned earlier, this is why I do nomination for my clients. Okay, so under the Islamic wealth distribution, just a little bit background, what happens when somebody passes on? First thing, we have to allocate an amount of money for funeral expenses. I think this works the same for everybody else as well. We have to settle the outstanding debts. And then, okay, so for Muslims, we do have a will, but you are only allowed to put 1/3 of your assets in your money in your will. So, okay, so I will show you two different scenarios whereby there is a nomination done up for a Muslim family and a nomination that is not done up. So same thing as the previous one in general. Hold on, okay. Okay, so this is a scenario where a man passes on and leaves behind a wife, 3 girls, and 1 uncle. So this uncle is somebody who's entitled to their rights. Even a brother is entitled to their rights. Almost every man in the family, the close family, they're entitled to some shares of the proceeds. So this may not be it's not something that you would want if this person is no longer around, in the sense that they have never been present in the family, but they do have a share. So without nomination, what happens is that the wife gets only 1/8, the uncle even gets more, which is 1/6, and daughters get 3 equal shares of 2/3. So I think this actually helps a lot of Muslim families in terms of planning how their wealth is distributed, because the biggest worry for a Muslim family is actually not having a son. So when I actually explain to them and educate them the importance of having nomination, that is also one of the ways to open up cases and life policies for Muslim clients. Okay, so I prepared something for the Philippines and for everybody actually, right? Just to educate a little bit more what is Islamic finance. So the same thing is we have our triangle. So the first one is actually financial foundation. We have to get an income that is permissible in the eyes of our religion. We do have something that is called zakat. It's a purification of wealth, which a lot of people don't know in terms of the Muslim clients, because they worry about how much money they have in the bank, and when they put with us, how much are they supposed to give up for charity. So previously, I think because I joined 7 years, right? When I just joined, there was no such thing as investment, Islamic investment. So a lot of clients that I approached, one of the rejections I had was, oh, we can't do interest. And true enough, in the religion, we cannot do interest. We can only do investment, but it also matters what kind of investments actually. So I would go to these clients who have already had policies and savings and tell them that actually at the end of the day, being in a country that is not very Muslim friendly, we are tied to everything that has interest, like your banks, your CPF, when you take mortgage loan, all this has interest, and there's no way to run from it, right? What we can do is to ensure that you pay your dues, which is your zakat, a charity, which is 2.5% of an amount that you have in the bank. So just share with you guys, right, how this zakat is derived is actually 85 grams of gold on the market share. So currently I think it's around 15,000. So if a client actually has a surrender value of $15,000, it is definitely a good thing for you to go back to client and tell them that, hey, look, you have an amount of money inside that exceeds the nisab, which is the 85 grams of gold, and you can actually go to charity 2.5%. So these clients, I would tell them it's okay to have savings. Sorry, I'm very nervous. Okay, so yeah, for 2.5%. So I think many of you here do have experience with Muslim clients who feel like, oh, you know, I don't want to take up savings anymore, it's interest bearing, it's something that is against our Islamic law, blah, 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 right? But you can actually educate them and, hey, look, even your CPF has it, even your bank has it, even everywhere in Singapore has it. But what you can educate, you know, there is such thing as giving charity on your savings plan. So that opens up their mind, right? So even so, on that note, you can also open up investment plans for clients by saying that since interest is not aligned with your Islamic values and Sharia law, you can also try to consider having investment and making sure that investment funds that you put in are aligned with your values, that maybe do not associate themselves with alcohol, nightclubs, what else, terrorism, debts, yeah. So those are the things. Okay, let me see. So the same thing, so savings, insurance, everything is okay. Let me see. Okay, so these are the 5-step approach I do to clients. I do not actually do product selling. I would first build trust with them by understanding their needs and their family values. After that, I educate them on a different way of planning finance Islamically. And then I would recommend protection products that align with their values. And of course, back to nomination and tell them the importance of having nomination. Okay, so this is one sentence pitch to every nomination review. We spend time making sure your family is covered. Let's make just 15 minutes making sure the right person actually receives it. Okay, so a little bit framework for all of you to do. Maybe you can go back, list 10 clients who have not had their nomination done, call every one of them with the sentence pitch I showed earlier, and then schedule reviews with them. And then you can also, you can also complete reviews by asking for spouse, family referrals, and actually for a nomination in Singapore, we have to have 2 witnesses or attesters to make sure a nomination is valid. So from these 2 witnesses and attesters, I would actually, explain to client while having them around. They would see the importance of it, and they will start thinking about, hey, what if my policies have gaps? What if I have not done my nomination? So these 2 attesters or witnesses actually become your prospects. And then, of course, just block 1 day in the month to go for all these ongoing reviews. Okay, finally. Your goals don't care about how you feel, but they do respond to what you do. So I hope all of you learned something from me today in terms of